Okay, welcome back everyone. This is another week of the yTeam stories. This week we've got a guy that's been around our community for quite some time. I'm going to introduce him and let him introduce himself with kind of first how you got involved with yLead and also 3 words to best describe yourself. So Jonty, over to you.
Yeah, so I'm Jonty Sleep. I suppose my journey with yLead is pretty unique. It's a bit different to a few others. So I went to Mara State High School in a little town called Mara, and born and raised here, grew up here. And I first heard of yLead when my brother, who went to Rocky Grammar School, went to the New Zealand Thrill Out trip in 2013. So that's how I heard of yLead, through the grapevine. And then in 2017, I was lucky enough to do the same trip and absolutely loved it. And then from there, I sort of went on to do the 2018 Help Out trip as well, which was amazing. And then Y-Connect last year, and then Tanzania last year, early this year. I suppose 3 words if I was to use to describe myself, I'd say honest. I would also say calming and adventurous.
Great words. And I definitely agree with the adventurous side of things. I've seen, like I said just before, I was having a chat and we're like, you know what, I've seen all of your like Instagrams of you just out about doing some crazy stuff. I saw you at like a watering hole. I'm like, man, it's literally winter. Like, I don't know what you're doing though. But, you know, if you were a tour guide in your town, I would love to know, like with that adventurous side of you, where would you take us and what kind of would we do in your town of Mara?
Mara's got a few pretty unique spots. So because we're a mining town, we have probably one of the biggest open cut mines in central Queensland. So it's got a pretty wicked lookout. And it's just like, you see the great scheme of things from this lookout. So it's like, we'd probably go there first, check that out. You get to see some of the major operations and big machinery. From there, we'd go back through the town, maybe stop off, have some brunch at a little cafe that we have there called Atmosphere. So we'd go there. And then from there, we'd venture back out through the town. We'd take a little dirt track, get that 4-wheel drive experience that some people don't mind. And then from there, we stop off at the river where you could go fishing or kayaking, or they even have bridge jumping. Don't know if it's allowed, but we do it anyway. And then from there, we could also go down to the weir, which is this little area. And it has some pretty nice water holes and little tracks and stuff like that where you can jump in, have a swim. Probably not the right time of year, but we'd probably do it anyway.
Look, like I said, I don't think the time of year has stopped you from doing it yet. So, like, I mean, if it's warm enough up there, why not? And also, you'd definitely be pushing me off the bridge if I ever went there, because I do not do well with heights, as a lot of you guys know. So next question. What's like a lesson that you're currently learning or kind of processing, especially during this year?
So I guess especially like over the last 4 or 5 months, I've been learning to deal with this idea around fear. And I suppose what I mean by that is that I'm a firm believer that everybody out there has something that they're scared of or afraid of doing. I believe that fear is universal in a way that it'll affect pretty much everyone on the most real level at like some point through their life. And I suppose for me, that was like the beginning of this journey that I'm currently on, where I'm transitioning out of the mines into the emergency services field. For the longest time, like for as long as I can remember, like I've been so scared to do that because I was afraid of just what people around me might think, especially those closest to me, like my parents and my brothers, my closest friends. I was really like worried that they'd think that I was wasting these 4 years doing this apprenticeship, and that I could have been doing something different and applying myself in a different way. And I was also worried that they thought that it was a waste of a trade and that someone else could have been using this to progress themselves, someone that might have been interested in the field, because that was never real my intention to begin with. And I always felt encased by this fear, and that's why for the longest time I froze. Like I just didn't do anything about it. I remember just for like a year and a half, 2 years, I just went to work every day, didn't enjoy it because I was so scared of saying something. But it wasn't until like I took that first step, which is often the scariest step, that I realized that I was able to break out of this thing I call the fear bubble. And from there, I was able to realize that like on the other side of fear, lies true happiness and true bliss, which I think no true words have ever been spoken. Like, I preach that so much, and I always think back to when I was younger, in school particularly. I was terrified to give speeches, which is kind of crazy because our class probably only had 15 or 20 people in it, but I was terrified to get up there anyway. And I always think about that feeling beforehand, which is the fear, and that's the sweaty palms, the heart pumping, the pacing, the reading of lines over and over again, trying to memorize that. I always thought about the fear, but I never sort of thought about, right, what's on the other side, which is the happiness. That's the good part. That's the part I love. That's honestly, I think, the best feeling in the world. And now whenever I sort of feel that fear, I'm not scared of it, but I welcome it, because I know every time that I feel scared, I'm progressing better and making some significant positive changes in my life. And that's why I welcome fear. And that's the sort of lesson that I've been learning and dealing with over the last sort of 4 or 5 months.
Well, you've just blown me away. That was no, that was awesome. Like, hearing you say that stuff, it really resonates with me personally, as well as I'm sure a lot of people in our community. We often talk about this idea of fear is false evidence appearing real. And like you said, it's that moment before of you're scared, you're concerned, you sweaty palms, you're not really sure about what's coming, but it's all this evidence that you've built up in your head that isn't necessarily true. And just to bring it down a little, for my example, heights, cannot do them, but the false evidence is, Matt, you're gonna die. But the reality is I've got a nice ledge that I'm holding on to, so I'm not going to. No, but that was awesome. Thanks so much for your insight with that as well. To flip it a little bit, what made you laugh this last week? What was like the last thing that made you really laugh? Like, over the last few weeks, I've been doing a lot of camping with a lot of mates. And I think it's just that general banter, like, especially because I've had a friend that's moved back to town recently. He's been gone for a few years and he's recently moved back. So we've just been sharing so much banter recently, and I just love it. Like, just absolutely like in tears most of the time I'm around him. So that's the sort of stuff I love, and that's what's been making me laugh a lot, especially recently. Having friends around always is good, especially for a good laugh. And kind of going on from what you were just saying before about fear and this idea of you being concerned about what's next. What is one thing that you must accomplish during the next 2 years, and why? Yeah, so like, I think I briefly touched on it before about going into the emergency services. Like, that's what I really want to do. And whether that's as full-time firefighting, which is something that I've recently picked up part-time in town, or if it's even possibly picking up something in the police force, that's something that I'm so determined to make happen. Because I think originally, it all started off as this dream. And I think dreams are formed, when you really want something, when you're passionate about it and your heart's about it, there's nothing that can sort of stop you from achieving that. So that's why it's so important that I do this, because once I do this, then that opens up so many other avenues and so many other dreams that I can start working towards, which is really, really important to me. Yeah, great. And it's always that feeling of you have that first nudge, you have that first dream, and then it's that realization that once you work past your fear, like you said, achieving that in the next 2 years would be awesome. And it's definitely there. You've got that goal now set, which is, yeah, I can't wait to see it happen. Next thing, if you're in a packet of yLead texters, what color would you be? Now, I'm assuming, firefighter, if that's where you're going, police force, is it like red, blue? Where are we going with this? I would have probably said blue, but that's just my favorite color. But I think if I was going to say, I'd probably go orange, because I think it offers that warmness. And I think I sort of give that off most of the time, like that calmness as well. I think that's sort of like that color that resonates with me the most. So I'd probably say orange, even though it's not my favorite color, but that's probably what I would say. There's good oranges in the pack. Yep, I'll give you that one. Now let's do a fast 5 kind of round, just so we can get to know you. Favorite food? Okay, I would say probably pasta, but I would say something creamy or pesto-y, if I was to be specific. So any sort of creamy pesto-y pasta, that's my jam. Pesto-y pasta, yep, I can get behind that. Favorite destination? Could be one of the ones you've traveled with us, could be outside of that. Where would be your favorite destination? I have big plans of going to India eventually, but I'd say currently Tanzania has my heart, has a special place.
But also like anywhere along the coast of Australia, I think is amazing too. So that's what I would say.
No, yeah, I agree with that. A lot of us undervalue like the stuff we have here as well, which is awesome. Favorite band or like artist?
I've been listening to a lot of Catfish and the Embodiment recently, but I love anything Imagine Dragons as well. Or if I'm looking for something more chill, a bit of Vance Joy, that's probably my sort of stuff.
I'm very much about that. Favorite movie?
I've got it here. I literally have it right in front of me. How ridiculous is this?
Show us.
Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That's my favorite. I could watch this 1,000 times, never get sick of it. It is simply the best movie ever, and I'm a movie buff, and I seriously think that is my favorite movie of all time.
That is a very good movie. You were on the Y Connect where we watched that, correct?
I don't think, no.
Well, you missed out because, man, that is a movie for the ages. Well done. And finally, you touched on it already, but favorite color? Yeah,
blue. Definitely some sort of dark blue is my favorite. Any sort of navy. That's my favorite color. Okay, and to finish us off,
tell us a little bit about, you kind of mentioned it. You just said you were kind of working part-time in the like firefighters. How's that process been for you? How did you find that? How did you kind of get into that role? What's it all about? Tell us a little bit about it.
So like straight out of school, I was sort of had this tunnel vision of what I wanted to do. I think it was sort of blurred though, a bit skewed. And eventually I ended up getting 2 offers for electrical apprenticeships in the local area. Ended up taking the one that was a bit closer to home, which is in Dawson Coal Mine, which is a completely like crazy workforce. Like I never seen myself like working in a coal mine, but here I am now, and that's what I'm doing currently. And so I've been there for 2.5 years, completing an apprenticeship. A lot of dirt, a lot of coal dust, but I love it, love getting amongst it. And then recently I had this idea of like, well, if I'm wanting to move into the emergency services, I'm going to have to start doing things sort of more closely to that field. And I've seen that my local firefighting service was offering like startup roles as auxiliary firefighters and trainees. And then, yeah, they said they'd be happy to put me on. So I'm currently in the middle of getting signed off to be able to go down there and start that process and eventually go to training, which looking forward to so much. And yeah, this is the start of hopefully a long career in that industry. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it and can't wait to see what the future holds.
What was the like first thing that kind of drew you to that field?
I always had this passion for helping people, and I see myself who's able to handle high pressure situations in a really like sort of calm manner. Like I'm able to not overanalyze or overthink things, and that's just in general life as well. And I always sort of see myself as being able to like work in that field and that environment, that high pressure scenario, and sort of be able to deal with it. Like I think a lot of that comes from like how I was raised, especially like being from a country town. So you're always taught like work hard and that things will follow and things will come. And like I think, yes, a lot of that is true, and that stuff I can sort of apply in my working life. So yeah, that's how I sort of guide myself towards that path and sort of see myself in that role.
Before we finish up, tell us like where we can find you. If you know anyone out there is like, yeah, I want to go on that journey. That's the type of information I need to know about. What's like an Instagram handle or something that we can find you at?
Yep. So at Jonty Sleep or Jonty_Sleep on Instagram or Jonty Sleep on Facebook, except the L is actually an I because they wouldn't accept my name on Facebook when I first made it. So, but you'll be able to find me. I'm kicking around.
Okay. Right. So Jonty Sleep on Facebook with an I, not an L. Right. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us, Jonty, and having this chat. If you or anyone else out there in our community has any ideas of anyone else you'd like to hear from, please let us know. community@ylead.com.au. And Jonty, have a great rest of your afternoon, mate. And thanks so much for chatting to us. See you later.
No worries. Thanks, Matt.